Toho, it's game time. I got a call from my local comic shop that Wave 2 of Toho Ultimates had finally come in, which I was really surprised about because the shipping calendar still says they aren't due yet, and I know of a few folks that have ordered directly from Super 7 that haven't gotten theirs yet. Yet somehow it made its way up to the Great White North. So with this video, I'm really hoping to do is just an unboxing and first impressions of the figure. If you're looking for someone with a critical eye, go to Steven Sawyer Reviews or Shinra Jira. But if you're here for a filthy casual reviewer like me, welcome! So I have not opened these up just yet. I wanted to save it for the video so you can get my truly honest first reaction to these figures. So we'll go ahead and start with just taking the sleeve off and looking at the figures in package before opening them up. And I'm going to start with Burning Godzilla because this is the one that I'm most familiar with, and I'm really curious to see how the matted paint turned out. This is actually the first time that we've seen the sleeve because they never showed off the sleeve for Wave 2 when it was up for pre-order. So there it is. It's got like the melting effects around it. Godzilla vs. Destroyer on the back. Pretty cool stuff. And let's see. Okay, so first impressions. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick this up. Also, it goes without saying, do not trust this camera or any camera to make your judgments on these figures, or at least your final judgments, because everyone's camera settings are different and first shots tend to look terrible. So, you know, wait for a few people to post their photos to get a good view. So I can tell you, having this guy in hand, that the paint job does look noticeably more matte in some areas, I would say. Like, I can see the neck area, there's still a little bit of that glistening, but I would say his forearms and his biceps definitely look more matted. The eyes on mine are pretty much straight, which looks good, and the teeth are all individually painted, which looks good as well. It's a bit of red slop on those teeth, but it makes him look kind of bloody, so that doesn't bother me too much. And one thing that I said in my previous video about how Wave 2 was looking was that the smoke effects looked a little bit questionable in the photos that we were seeing. They do look at least a little bit better in person. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy about how that looks. And then there is a yellow wash across the chest, which, again, you shouldn't really trust this video as gospel, but it is faint, but it is much more visible in person than photos would have you believe. So yeah, this guy's looking about what I had expected, and I'm looking forward to getting him out of the package. Well, let's move on to Mechagodzilla. So here's Mechagodzilla's sleeve. It's very, I guess it's not really picking up on the camera, but it's got a lot of like robot looking kind of shapes on it. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2. And my shop owner, when he brings in these items, he makes sure to open them up and inspect them, make sure nothing's broken, make sure everything looks good. And he told me, he said, just you wait to see how big that Mechagodzilla is. So, without further ado, and yeah, he's really big. Holy crap, actually. That metallic sheen looks nice. Just above his rib cage and between his pectorals, you can see a little bit of maybe heavy-handedness with the paint. It stands out a little bit more than the rest. And along his shoulders as well. But he is really big. And then there's the Garuda in the back. Okay. Okay. Alright, Super 7. Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down. There's the back of that one. In case you wanted to see it. I don't know if you'll be able to read it. You could pause and give it a try if you want. And then there's the back of Burning Godzilla. Alright, so I'm going to crack these guys open and give you my open, honest opinion and first impressions. Alright, so I'm going to start with Burning Godzilla since this is familiar territory. And I kind of know what to expect. He is really lodged in there, man. I can't get him out. Oh, crap. Okay, so I got him. He's out of the packaging. Let's just see how the joints feel. Shoulders move. Elbows. Elbows are good. On my 89 Ultimate, the arms were so locked. It was like, it felt like you were trying to break a metal spoon. Like, that's how hard I had to press. Eventually I got to a point where I was like, if this thing breaks, like, whatever, I'll send it back, because it was insane. Okay, I'll figure that one out later. So there he is. And he's looking pretty good. So, that came off. So, paint job. It is definitely more matted than Wave 1, like 100%, but it still has a little bit of that gloss. It's not really enough to bother me, but it's definitely much less glossy than Wave 1, and even less glossy than the renders make it look. The renders make it look like it's coming out of the water. Tail feels sturdier, and you can kind of tell, like, you can tell out of the box it's holding its pose much more securely. So that's good. I like it. Eyes. Again, if you want an in-depth review, you can check out Shinra, Jira, or Steven. But you're just gonna have to take my word for it. The eyes look good on that head, and they look even better on this head. So that's really good. The new spines look really awesome. Yeah, no, this guy looks really solid. I'm not really good at toy photography, but I might take a few shots to share with folks. Yeah, I'm actually really surprised. This guy looks really fierce. You know, if you had core issues with the first figure, like the fact that it's a swivel torso or the tail was not that articulated, those issues are still here, unfortunately. But things like the matted paint or the joint tolerance are noticeably better on this figure. Nice. Okay, so with that, let's move on to Mechagodzilla. So I've got Mecha G fresh out of his package, and one thing to quickly note is that his backplate pretty easily popped off as I was removing it from the package, and it sits in there fairly securely, I would say. Like, if you're fiddling with it, it should be fine, but it is designed to come off, so there might be some tension issues there. But I've got him out here. I'm just going to be exploring some of that articulation. His head, he's got a little bit of head tilt, but he can't really look forward or back too much. So that's about as low as the shoulder goes, and that's about as high as the shoulder goes. Elbows. Oh, that elbow doesn't feel like it wants to move. Which, I don't know. Oh, I'm gonna have to heat treat that, I think. I hate having to heat treat my stuff. And then this side, again, so it goes about that low, that high. Shoulder. And that elbow's frozen too. I really don't like that. Torso. So, can confirm it's a ball joint. You can get him shimmying like that. And I'm kind of curious if I have the plasma grenade clipped on. So plasma grenade is just a friction fit. Doesn't quite fit as nicely as I would like, I think. Or did I have it on properly? No, I think I did. Yeah, so it's friction fit. It doesn't really doesn't sit in there too well, which is a bit of a bummer, but if you've got him sitting posed on a shelf, it should be fine. Legs. Yeah. So if you want to do that spinning kick from the Godzilla combat games, you can do that. Kicks forward about that far. Kicks back about that far. Knees have a slight bend. Let's do this side. Slight bend, not much. And then you got a little ankle rock, a little bit, tilts up and tilts down. Tail does not move, which is It's whatever. Like, I don't personally care, but I know some folks would have preferred that it could be movable so that you can change between flight pose and normal pose. I thought I saw some people saying that he doesn't have a bicep swivel, but he does. He does have a bicep swivel, so I'm not really sure. Maybe I misread it, but seems fine. Shock anchors. Okay, so there's your shock anchor. Real metal, feels good. The hole on this feels really snug. At first I thought it was going to be too small, and I don't think there's any way for me to get this on the camera, but the hole is actually not cut for the shock anchor in this hand. That's kind of a drag. It looks like it might be scored, but it wasn't cut. Yeah, it's definitely not cut, so I might have to do something about that. Now the hands make me kind of nervous because the peg, you can kind of see it. The peg is really short. It's shorter than the Godzilla hand pegs. So I'm kind of worried about those breaking. Okay, now Garuda's here, and one of the cannons on Garuda is warped. I don't know how well that's coming across. Yeah, you should be able to see it about there. So one of those is warped, which is whatever. You know, I can probably fix that myself. And let's see how the tension sits with Garuda on the backpack. So there you go. That's him with the Garuda on his backpack. Or the Garuda as a backpack on his back. It sits in there okay. So, you know, if you're an adult, I don't imagine you're going to be doing this, but it does feel like it could get knocked off if you're not careful with it, so be careful. But other than that, it should sit in there fairly secure. And then there's the jet booster effects. If I can figure these out properly. Some of them have long pegs and some of them have shorter pegs. Okay. That's what he looks like with the effects. And while we're at it, let's see if I can get the flight pose. So head comes off okay. Double barbell style head. It's not in there all the way. But that's fine. What? Yeah, these pieces, these jet thruster pieces, maybe I'm just not doing it properly. So that's the flight pose, if you wanted it. Now, some folks wanted this tail to be able to sit a little bit lower. Sure, fine. It doesn't bother me. I understand if it bothers you, but it doesn't bother me. Okay, so first impressions of Wave 2. Burning Godzilla, significant step up from the first release. I suspect, you know, pieces are just popping off over here. I suspect that if Wave 1 had the matted paint that Wave 2 Burning Godzilla has, then there would have been fewer complaints. Not no complaints, fewer complaints. But it's definitely a step in the right direction. Lack of articulated jaw, lack of articulation in the tail, those are still going to be deal breakers for a lot of people. But it makes me more confident in future iterations of Godzilla. Mechagodzilla, I was a lot more hopeful for, I think. There are some QC issues, like I can't bend the elbows right now, and this back piece really just doesn't like to stay there. And then the hole for the shock anchor is not drilled in, even though like I probably won't display the shock anchors for the same reason that I won't display beam effects. It just takes up so much room. But I can definitely see people paying the 85 US to get this guy in hand and not be completely satisfied. I'm gonna try one more time to get this elbow to move. Oh, there we go. Can you hear the clicking? Okay, so there, I got his elbow to bend. Can I get the other elbow to bend? This back plate is really aggravating me. Okay, so I was able to get both of those elbows to bend. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah, that back plate is really frustrating me, actually, more than I thought it would. Let's see, I did the shake test for Garuda. How about the back plate? See, it doesn't do anything now. But as soon as I'm trying to do anything else with the figure, the back plate falls off. So that is kind of frustrating. But he is big, and that's definitely part of the value proposition. Like, next to my face. I have a big head, just so you know. And this guy's really big. Paint blemishes, There's some around the neck, but like I have my own paint blemish right here. You know, I'd be a bit of a hypocrite. Doesn't bother me. I really don't like this backplate. Yeah, I don't know if I can do like magnets or something to get it to stay there. But I don't like the idea that just as I'm fiddling with the figure, it just pops off. So overall, first impressions, better than Wave 1, I would say. The Godzilla, I think, is strictly better than the Godzilla in Wave 1. And the companion piece, I do think, is a better companion piece than the Biollante in Wave 1. There are still some of those core issues that we're not going to see addressed until Wave 3. Oh, I hate this backplate, man. When Steven gets around to reviewing this wave, this thing is getting thrown out the goddamn window. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.